Hello, Namaste, and Assalamualaikum everyone. I'm your host Namuna Shima. I welcome you all on behalf of Ambedkar Society for South Asia. Today, we are going to discuss the vision of Dr. B.R. Ambedkar in commemoration of his death anniversary. And the topic of our today's webinar is Caste, Human Rights, and International Laws, Globalizing Ambedkar's Thoughts. So, before starting the discussion, I would like to introduce the guests who have joined us from India and Pakistan. First of all, we have Dr. 𝐶𝐮 Mathur. She has joined us from India. She is Assistant Professor at Delhi University and founding member of NCWL India. Thank you so much, ma'am, for joining. Next, we have Professor Dr. Rajesh Kumar. He is Associate Professor of English, School of Humanities, Indra Gandhi Open University, India. Sir, thank you so much for joining.
Thank you, Jinnah.
Thank you. Next, we have Dr. Vinod Kumar. He is Professor of Law and Director, Center for Human Rights at National Law University, Delhi, India. Thank you so much, sir. Next, we have Dr. Aisha Ishfaq. She is Assistant Professor at the School of Integrated Social Sciences, University of Lahore, Pakistan. Thank you so much, ma'am, for joining.
Thank you, Jinnah, and hello everyone. You have to do. Hello.
Thank you, sir. First of all, I would like to request Dr. 𝐶𝐮 Mathur. मैम, जो हमारा टॉपिक है आज का, उसके हवाले से आप क्या कहना चाहिए?
थैंक यू सीमा. सबसे पहले तो आई वुड लाइक टू वेलकम ऑल द डिस्टिंग्विश्ड स्पीकर्स प्रेजेंट हियर एंड heartfelt congratulations to Dr. B.R. Ambedkar Society for South Asia to organize such a wonderful webinar, international webinar on this relevant topic. So I would like to first tribute my floral tribute to Dr. Ambedkar on the eve of his Mahaparinirvan Divas, that is tomorrow, 6th December. से जब तक हम अवेयर नहीं होंगे, not only we, the people who are agitating this kind of practice like caste and gender discrimination, but the people who are belonging from the upper caste, so called upper caste, Brahmins, उनको भी जो है इस बात को समझना पड़ेगा कि ये इतने लंबे समय से जो लोग privileged हैं, they won't lose any kind of privileges. तो वो कभी बात नहीं करते हैं कि हम कास्ट को हटाना चाहते हैं. एक एग्जाम्पल ऑफ गांधी ना, गांधी और अंबेडकर का बहुत डिस्कोर्स जो है वो चलता है कि इवन गांधी ऑल्सो रेज वॉइस अगेंस्ट कास्ट डिस्क्रिमिनेशन एंड रिमूव द अनटचेबिलिटी. बट हाउ ही जस्ट टॉक, he just preach the people, yes, this is the wrong practice, so you all have to eradicate it only in the thought perspective. कि और फिर दूसरी साइड वो कहते हैं कि I am also cleaning my toilets. So cleaning मतलब सफाई नहीं है. And he also support the वर्ण व्यवस्था. Never he spoke against this वर्ण व्यवस्था. So without ये वर्ण व्यवस्था को खत्म करे बिना मुझे नहीं लगता कि कास्ट कभी खत्म हो सकती है. एंड on the other side, Dr. B.R. Ambedkar is not just preaching, he is telling the people truth and he is ensuring the rights of people. He is working against the caste discrimination and practices like untouchability who degrade the human with the humanity. So ये degradation of humanity है, ये अगेंस्ट ह्यूमैनिटी है. कास्ट ऑब्वियसली जो है वो खत्म होनी चाहिए और काम कर रहे हैं. सो सच में साउथ जो अंबेडकर सोसाइटी जैसे ऑर्गेनाइजेशन है अलग अलग कंट्रीज में जो काम कर रहे हैं, इवन हमारी यूनिवर्सिटी में भी सर्बी यूनिवर्सिटी में कुछ समय रहे और अभी जुडिशियल सिस्टम की तरफ जा रहे हैं और राजेश सर हमारे पास हैं, तो आयशा मैडम है. तो ये सब अपने अपने एक्सपीरियंसेस से आई थिंक दे ऑल आर एग्री in such kind of society we are living where the people are talking caste but simultaneously they are practicing the caste.
तो ये सोचना पड़ेगा हमको कि हम डॉक्टर बी आर अम्बेडकर की जो लीगेसी है टुवर्ड्स द ह्यूमैनिटी टू मेक दिस सोसाइटी मोर ह्यूमन, वो हम कैसे काम कर सकते हैं, क्योंकि उन्होंने कहा था कि कोई भी कानून आप कितना भी अच्छा बना लो, जब तक उसको इम्प्लीमेंट करने वाले लोग अच्छे नहीं होंगे, उनका थॉट प्रोसेस अच्छा नहीं होगा, तब तक सोसाइटी में कोई चेंज नहीं आ सकता है। सो इसीलिए ये जो people who are working against the thoughtfulness towards humanity, because they are provocating the mythology, the religious text, which are saying that people are not equal because of this Varna Vyavastha, because of this caste. So society should be as co-status. They just want to remain the same system. They don't want any kind of change, क्योंकि वो privileged situation में है ना। तो आप देखो कि हम कब बात करते हैं कास्ट की, जब हम, क्योंकि we are experiencing such kind of incidents on the basis of caste, class, gender, religion. So इसलिए हम बोल रहे हैं, लेकिन they never raise such kind of issue. Even they don't think that untouchability or caste discrimination can be in such manner a burning issue or a problem for the people. They just understand caste means reservation, nothing else. So the Hippocratic mind of the people. The EWS reservation is good, but सोशली एंड एजुकेशनल बैकग्राउंड पे दिया गया रिजर्वेशन जो है वो खराब है उनके लिए। तो सेम ट्रैक पर, सेम थॉट पर वो खुद ही जो है वो अलग अलग दो बातें जो है वो करते हैं। एक तरफ रिजर्वेशन खत्म करने की बात करते हैं और एक तरफ रिजर्वेशन को लेके आते हैं। एक तरफ सोसाइटी में इक्वालिटी की बात करते हैं, बट अभी जो कास्ट को जितना हमने एजिटेट किया है थ्रू द एजुकेशन, थ्रू द मूवमेंट, थ्रू द एकेडमिक इंटरफेरेंस, उतना ही तेजी से कास्ट बढ़ा है। उसका एग्जाम्पल वी कैन सी इन द मैट्रिमोनियल पेजेस, द वेट, इंक्रीजिंग वेट ऑफ मैट्रिमोनियल पेजेस, जो साफ साफ हमें दिखाई देता है कि कास्ट पर कितना फोकस है, कि हमें बहू चाहिए इसी कास्ट की, इवन गोत्र की, और जो ग्रूम चाहिए वो भी जो है वो कास्ट वाला ही होना चाहिए। तो हम ये जो कंट्राडिक्शन जो आज के समय में देख रहे हैं वो वाकई में फिर से हमें डॉक्टर बी आर अम्बेडकर की जो लीगेसी है, उनके थॉट्स हैं इन डिफरेंट पर्सपेक्टिव, नॉट ओनली to eradicate the caste or untouchability, to bring social equality, social justice or dignity, but also for the development of economic and democracy. There is a strong need and demand to bring more and more thoughts in educational field, universities, and everywhere. So Dr. B R Ambedkar को तो हम सबको जो है वो बात करने की जरूरत है, उनके आइडियाज को पब्लिक में लाने की जरूरत है। जो एक गैप रहा, लंबा गैप रहा उनके महापरिनिर्वाण के बाद और 90s तक, जो डॉक्टर बी आर अम्बेडकर को याद नहीं किया गया, तो ये जो है वो अब जो टाइम है वो सच में हमारे जैसे लोगों को, हमारी जैसी ऑर्गेनाइजेशंस को इस पर ज्यादा से ज्यादा काम करने की जरूरत है, और तभी सही मायने में हम डॉक्टर बी आर अम्बेडकर को हम अपना किसी भी सेंस में ट्रिब्यूट दे पाएंगे और एक सोशल जस्टिस की तरफ, जस्टिसेबल सोसाइटी की तरफ मूव कर पाएंगे, जहां पर लोग डिग्निटी के साथ इक्वल अपॉर्चुनिटी हासिल कर पाए, अपने जो एक्सरसाइज, अपने जो राइट्स हैं जो एंश्योर्ड है थ्रू द कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन, थ्रू द डिफरेंट लॉज, रियली दे एबल टू एक्सरसाइज देम। So this is from my side. Thank you, सीमा।
थैंक यू सो मच डॉक्टर सीमा, आपने बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट पॉइंट्स रेज किए हैं। और नेक्स्ट मैं रिक्वेस्ट करूंगी डॉक्टर राजेश कुमार से। जैसे डॉक्टर सीमा ने बात की इक्वालिटी की, तो हम इक्वालिटी को डॉक्टर बी आर अम्बेडकर की फिलॉसफी में देखते भी हैं, और अगर हम इक्विटी की तरफ थोड़ी सी बात करना चाहें तो किस तरह से डॉक्टर बी.आर. अम्बेडकर की जो फिलॉसफी है, उनके जो थॉट्स थे, उसको थोड़ा सा अगर आप इक्विटी से रिलेट कर सके, प्लस अगर हम करंट एरा की बात करते हैं, नॉट ओनली इंडो पाक बल्कि हम ओवरऑल ग्लोबली भी बात करें, तो क्या जरूरत है, व्हाट एंड व्हाई इज द नीड कि हम इस फिलॉसफी पर या इस थॉट को आगे लेकर चलें.
Thank you very much, Jinnah. I hope I'm audible, huh?
Yes, you are.
See, first of all, let me begin with tribute to Dr. Ambedkar on his Mahaparinirvan Divas, which is going to take place tomorrow. And let me also congratulate the Ambedkar Society for having organized this webinar, which is kind of a very good initiative to, take up the whole discourse on Ambedkar's thoughts, okay, which could be related to his philosophical discussion or political discussion or other aspects also. Now coming to the question which you have raised and which is very much relevant also. And let me also, before I start answering question, congratulate you for, having decided a beautiful topic, I think it's very urgent and also globally significant topic, okay, today's topic particular, which is concerning caste, human rights, international laws, which is surrounding, around globalizing Ambedkar's thoughts, okay, which is, I think, one of the important topics of discussion, which is very much, of relevance to all of us, not only to India, but to all of the world, I think, okay. Now, coming to your point, where you're talking about, equity, equality, it's I would say, it's a fallacy that people, somehow try to, label Dr. Ambedkar only to being a Dalit leader, or a person who has contributed significantly to only one particular community. This really leads to a kind of a narrow framework of thought, which many people are having in India. But when we are talking about Dr. Ambedkar's philosophy, in a larger intellectual framework, intellectual landscape, I would place him to be undoubtedly a great emancipator, liberative philosopher, who doesn't only talk about one particular community, when we are trying to globalize him particularly, okay, globalize his philosophical thoughts, So we are not confining him to only, his contribution towards an Indian, realm of society, Indian society only, but to, global society itself. I'll be talking about, So particularly when you look at his, critique of caste, his advocacy for social democracy, and his vision for equality, vision for equity, which reaches directly, speak to international debates also. Today people are talking about, on like discrimination, justice, or human dignity, which are very much related to all these aspects. We talk about equality. I think the whole essence of his intellectual thought, intellectual philosophy lies in the essence of preamble of the Constitution. The Constitution itself is a documentary evidence which really reflects Ambedkar's, philosophical thoughts towards equality. When he's talking about equality, he doesn't only talk about, say, social equality. He's also talking about political, economic equality. Social, political, economic, he's including various dimensions of, the society where equality should be promoted, So when we look at the, kind of a system which we are living into, particularly the system which India has, come up with, So that system is not promoting, I would say, when we talk about the, fair nature of justice, because, we'll be talking about hopefully from law perspective, So when we talk about justice and the fairness of, just in that terms, I think we need to talk about equality in various dimensions of the society, various dimensions of the society. And when you talk about, you can say, caste system, as Professor Seema was talking about, Dr. Ambedkar looked at caste system as as I would say, graded inequality, a system which, in which dignity is distributed unequally, okay, by birth itself. So when you talk about equality, equality is missing there. You are, really, providing identity to somebody on the basis of birth, so that is just, tantamount to, promoting discrimination in the society, absolutely. I'm reminded of, Rousseau. He has written a very beautiful book, which is entitled A Discourse on Inequality. And he's talking about the fact how the growth of civilization has corrupted the happiness of human beings by talking about, say, discrimination in various forms, such as, richness, rich, poor, racism, casteism. And he's categorizing all of these as artificial inequalities. He says these are artificial inequalities exist in the society. These are man-made inequalities, artificial inequalities, okay? And I think Dr. Ambedkar also, he was, highly influenced by his own teacher also, who happened to be John Dewey, who was a great philosopher, and he must have read about it. Obviously, he was a great teacher. So undoubtedly, he is, Dr. Ambedkar is the product of modern philosophical thought, modern school of thought, you can say. And he was highly influenced by his teacher, Dewey, who obviously was, great, you can say, intellectual, okay, prophesizing the elements of, justice and other things also, equality, okay. So when we talk about, look at all these things in a global human rights framework, So when we, whether you can say, UDHR, I think, Universal Declaration of Human Rights, if you look at that also, or even the international, Covenant on Civil and Political Rights, ICCPR, or the Convention of Elimination of Racial Discrimination, CRD, these are international bodies, They all insist on one fundamental principle, which is related to your question, which is equality of all human beings. So all these bodies, international bodies, they do talk about equality of all human beings, okay? And here, when we try to relate it with the caste undoubtedly, I would say, violates this principle at its core, So, when you look at Dr. Ambedkar's, idea of, untouchability, his social background also, there has been evolution in terms of his development of philosophy right from the beginning till end. So when we talk about globalizing his philosophical thought, we need to understand as to how his thoughts, his ideas, his thinking, his thoughts are moving from particular to the universal. And when you look at his context, right from the beginning itself, from the birth itself, his context was the social exclusion, okay? Untouchability, which he was subjected to, okay, the community which he belonged to was subjected to, discrimination. So that happened to create a kind of, a background for his philosophical thoughts, social exclusion, you can talk about exclusion, you can say social discrimination also. So that was in the beginning particular. When he is being talked about as being Dalit, Dalit emancipator or Dalit messiah, that means you are particularizing Dr. Ambedkar to one community. So that could be, construed as the initial stage of philosophical evolution, that was the particular. But today, when we talk about him as being universal, his thoughts being universal, he has moved from particular to universal. How? In the beginning, he might be talking about, obviously, untouchable people, okay, the community, other things also. But as he developed, as his intellectual, framework, developed, he went abroad, he went to Cambridge, Cambridge University, this, you can say London School of Economics, you can say, then his thoughts developed, his philosophical, thoughts developed. And then he started talking about humanity. And you look at, liberty, equality, fraternity. He had greater influence of French Revolution, liberty, equality, fraternity. And then he is moving from particular to universal. And that is how we are trying to globalize him, that he is not an Indian philosopher, okay? He should not be looked at only as being, I mean, a person who is said to be, a Dalit leader. No. Today, he is a universal intellectual, universal philosopher. There is no doubt about that, because he isn't talking about one particular particular community, but he's been talking about humanity, liberty, equality, fraternity, so he is moving particular to universal. So when you talk about equality, so again, I'm coming to that. So he isn't talking only about one particular community and one particular dimension only, okay? When he's talking about equity, equality, he means that equality should be existing in almost all the realms of life, So therefore, the principle of, equal dignity is very important. And that is what he has been prophesizing, he has been promoting, that we need to talk about that, you can say, okay? And we need to have this liberative, thoughts, you can say, emancipatory thought. And we need to develop emancipatory framework of thought. Then only we can think about creating a society which should be based on, you can say, equity or equality. Okay. Then he further also talks about liberty, fraternity, brother. But since you asked me about equity, how we can relate it with equity, equality, so I was just trying to focus on equity only. So that's how we can look at equality from Dr. Ambedkar's perspective.
Okay, thank you so much, sir. Next, I would request Dr. Vinod Kumar. जैसे कि आपने पहले बताया कि आपका ताल्लुक जुडिशरी के साथ रहता है और आप कनेक्टेड है, सो आई वुड लाइक टू रिक्वेस्ट यू कि आप ये बताएं कि किस तरह से जो इंटरनेशनल लॉ है वो एड्रेस करता है कास्ट डिस्क्रिमिनेशन को, जैसे भी डॉक्टर राजेश कुमार ने जिक्र किया यूडीएचआर का, तो अगर आप मजीद कोई इंटरनेशनल लॉज या कोई ऐसी चीजें मौजूद हैं जिसको एड्रेस करती हैं, वो क्या है और किस तरह से करती है? Am I audible?
Yes, you are, but I think Professor Vinod is disconnected. He is muted. Sir, kindly
Thank you very much for telling me. First of all, I would like to thank and congratulate as well the Center for South Asian Studies and the Jinnah Ambedkar chair under which this webinar is being organized. Thanks a lot for organizing and consistently remembering Dr. Ambedkar on both the occasions, on the occasion of his birth anniversary as well as on his death anniversary. And I have been a part of this exercise for a few years. And this takes me to the kind of commitment towards Ambedkar's philosophy, his ideas, his approach to approaching, different problems which the humanity is suffering. So thank you very much also for giving me this opportunity to speak here and to interact with other members of the panel. First of all, I would like to say that in India particularly, there has been a tendency of compartmentalizing Ambedkar and his entire lifelong struggle into sort of pigeonholes. Some say that Ambedkar was a Dalit leader. Some say Ambedkar was a constitutionalist. Some say he was a jurist. Some say he was a journalist. Some say he was economist, and so on and so forth. But I do not see Ambedkar in this kind of compartmentalized perspective. I see Ambedkar in a very holistic perspective. And when I see Ambedkar in a holistic perspective, I find him as a nation builder. Ambedkar was truly the founding father, not only of the Constitution of India, but the founding father of the modern India. And we remember, and the whole world recognizes Ambedkar, remembers Ambedkar, not because of any particular, work, for example, his contribution in making India's constitution and thereby transforming a structurally unequal society into an equal society. Ambedkar is recognized and remembered throughout the world because of the universal values which he professed and promoted through his ideas, right? And these universal values are, of course, some of the values are there in the international, legal documents. For example, my co-panelists talked about UDHR, the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. This was a contemporary document when the Constitution of India was being framed. And Dr. Ambedkar not only had taken these universal values of equality, liberty, fraternity from the French Revolution, but also from the UDHR, because UDHR was the contemporary document and Constitution of India was in the process of its making when the UDHR came in 1948. So the basic universal values contained in the UDHR have also been incorporated in the preamble of the Indian Constitution, right? So, and through those universal values, Ambedkar has actually tried to promote a kind of humanism in this entire world. Therefore, I call Ambedkar as a global humanist, because his concern was not confined to any particular community. His concern was about the whole humanity, because the whole humanity has been suffering from the fundamental evils of inequality, the evils of unfreedom, evils of injustice, evils of lack of fraternity. So these are the important values which became a lifelong venture of Dr. Ambedkar, and these are the values for which he lived and he died. As far as international law is concerned, his utmost emphasis was, of course, on the institution of caste and untouchability, which he wanted to abolish, and he made provisions for that matter in the Constitution of India. Now, after 70 years or so of his demise, we find that instead of eradicating caste or abolition of caste, it has actually multiplied worldwide. It has multiplied to the extent that now caste and untouchability has become a global human rights problem. And this is the reason that the United Nations has passed multiple resolutions against caste discrimination. The European Parliament has also passed multiple resolutions, and many countries, including the United States, multiple resolutions have been passed by their legislatures, because Now, caste is practiced everywhere in the world, and wherever the South Asian people, particularly Indians, go, they might forget to take, everything else along, but they do not forget to take caste along, right? Caste is something which essentially they take along, right? So wherever they go, they practice caste and untouchability. Therefore, international legal documents, international community is very much concerned against caste discrimination, the way the international community is concerned about racism. So international community already has an international legal document on racism. That's the International Convention on Racism and Xenophobia, right? We call it ICERD. So this international convention has a specific aim for addressing the issue of racial discrimination. This is something interesting and unfortunate as well, that the number of victims of caste discrimination throughout the world is far greater than the victims of racial discrimination. Nevertheless, there is no international convention or treaty or any international legal document against caste discrimination. Number of victims of caste discrimination is far greater than the number of victims of the racial discrimination. We still don't have any international, document against that. So one might be wondering as to what could be the possible reason that the problem of such a global scale has not been addressed by the United Nations, particularly by enacting or adopting a legal document. One important reason is the consistent resistance from the Government of India. Whenever the United Nations or the Human Rights Council of the United Nations, they try to address the issue of caste, Government of India raises its consistent objections. For example, there has been attempt from the side of the United Nations to include caste discrimination within the meaning of the word race contained in the International Convention on Racism. Right? There is a particular word in that convention called descent-based discrimination. So descent-based discrimination is a part of the racial discrimination. So the international community says that the caste is also a descent-based discrimination. And because caste discrimination is also a descent-based discrimination, therefore caste should be considered as a part of racial discrimination, which means there is no separate need for having a separate international legal document for addressing the caste discrimination. Rather, the caste should be addressed from within, through the International Convention on Racism. Right? So this is the international understanding. But the Government of India has a very different understanding. Government of India says that caste discrimination is not a descent-based discrimination, and therefore it cannot form a part of the racism or racial discrimination. They do not have any, very tangible argument against it. The only argument which they give is that caste is an internal or domestic affair of the people of India, and the India itself would address the problem of caste and untouchability. So, meaning thereby is that the Indian government's attitude towards having a separate international convention or caste to be read within the meaning of descent under the racial discrimination, Indian government has been consistently very resistant to this idea. It has not approved this idea. And it is interesting that on the one hand, the Government of India resists the international community from having any international document on the issue of caste, but at the same time, the government doesn't want to address it the way it needs to be addressed, right? This is despite the fact that we have constitutional provisions, we have the statute as well, but there are discriminatory policies, and the society is also, very much, reluctant to address the issue of caste. So, which means that there can be no international legal document, but at the same time, the Indian society will also not address it. Which means that Dalits, who have been suffering from caste-based discrimination and untouchability, they will continue to suffer like this. Because the society is reluctant, the state is reluctant, right? And whichever, the laws India has with regard to the abolition of untouchability and caste-based discrimination, those laws are not actually implemented properly. There are studies which say that when it comes to the issue of caste discrimination, about 67% cases, the FIR or complaint is not registered by the police. So when we say in 67% cases, the FIR is not registered or complaint is not registered, it means it has a lot of legal and justice-oriented the consequences. For example, registering an FIR or a complaint is the beginning point of setting the criminal justice system in motion. If your complaint is not registered, it means the culprits will not be arrested. It means that the prosecution will not take place, trial will not take place, arrest will not take place, which means that you will not get justice. So it means that in India, in the cases of caste discrimination, about 67%, in 67% cases, Dalits are completely excluded from access to justice. Right? And there are cases in India where Dalits are not even allowed to enter police stations. They are considered as untouchables. There are studies where they cannot enter the public offices even. There is a study conducted by ActionAid International Foundation in 2006. Unfortunately, no other study of the similar kind has taken place again. This study is published by 𝐳 International Publication by the title Untouchability in Rural India. So statistics are given, and every year there is a national organization in India called NCRB, National Crime Record Bureau, which gives us statistics about how many cases were registered and how many cases were acted upon, and whether trial took place or not took place, or in how many cases the conviction has taken place. Right? So conviction is pathetically low. Average conviction rate in India in other cases is about 6%, right? But in cases of untouchability and caste-based discrimination, this is even low. So even when sometimes the culprits are arrested, when there is a lot of public hue and cry, when the culprits are arrested, the courts are very eager to grant bail to them, right? So this is also a problem that judicial system also doesn't work according to the constitutional provisions or the legal provisions, and this is despite the fact that caste-based untouchability and caste discrimination are non-bailable offences, where arrest is a must. And when arrest is done, generally bail is granted as soon as the public anger subsides. So this is one important reflection which I want to give about how caste and untouchability operates in India. Coming back to Dr. Ambedkar's contribution, why throughout the world Ambedkar is recognized is because of the universal values which he fought for, and the universal values which he incorporated in the Constitution of India. And one of the important value which he cherished and imbibed in the Indian Constitution is the idea of secularism. And if when I had visited Lahore, I had distributed a few copies of the Indian Constitution to your department, people of your department. I don't know whether you have ever read India's Constitution or not. But I'll tell you the scheme of India's Constitution is that Constitution is secular in its letter and spirit. And this is very much evident from the very fact that if you read the preamble of Indian Constitution, preamble nowhere provides any reference of the idea of God, right? Because there were voices in the Constituent Assembly that whenever a public officer takes, maybe President of India or a Supreme Court judge or a Prime Minister, when they take oath, they must be, taking oath in the name of God. But that idea was not appreciated much. But later on, it was concluded that this can be a possibility for those who have faith in religion. But those who do not have faith in the religion, they may not be forced to do so. Right? India's Constitution, there are many constitutions in the world which begin in the name of God, right? But India's Constitution doesn't begin, or it doesn't mention anything about God. And if you see the structure of the Constitution right from Article 5, which lays down the conditions for 5, 6, 7, these articles lay down the eligibility for becoming a citizen of India. So, under these provisions, there is no reference of religion or God, which means that it does not make any difference whether you are a believer or non-believer. Even if you are non-believer, which faith you practice, it is irrelevant for the purposes of the Constitution of India. Which means the idea of citizenship is a secular idea in Indian Constitution. This was, said during the making of the Constitution, that after partition, those who have come, those Hindus who have come from Pakistan, they should be given some privileges. But this idea was rejected because the idea was that there should be one citizenship which is uniform in nature. Nobody should be given a privileged treatment. Nobody should be given an underprivileged treatment. So the equality is the basis of citizenship. Religion is not, right? So secularism is, but it doesn't mean that the Indian Constitution it doesn't recognize religion as a part of people's life. It recognizes religion as a part of people's life. Excuse me.
Okay, thank you so much, Dr. Vinod Kumar. आपने काफी डिटेल में बताया और मैं रिक्वेस्ट करूंगी डॉक्टर आयशा इशफाक से कि जिस तरह से डॉक्टर साहब ने इंटरनेशनल लॉज की बात की, कुछ नेशनल और इंटरनेशनल लॉज की, तो आप काइंडली बताइएगा कि इनमें क्या गैप्स हैं
और इन गैप्स को किस तरह से कवर अप किया जा सकता है कास्ट डिस्क्रिमिनेशन की इरेडिकेशन की जगह?
Thank you very much, Alina. And before giving the answer to your question, sorry, Ramona. Thank you. Before giving the answer to your question, I just want to say today we gathered today. It's a significant to remember that tomorrow, 6th December, mark the death anniversary of Dr. B.R. Ambedkar. You can say is a visionary thinker, is a social reformer, and human rights advocate. So his life was dedicated to fighting caste dominations, ensuring dignity for the marginalized, and building a society based on the equality and justice. So today we pay tribute to Dr. B.R. Ambedkar. Ambedkar, is a global thinker, is not a regional thinker, is a global thinker and human rights champions whose ideas of equality, justice, and dignity continue to inspire all over the world. His tireless fight against discrimination reminds us that the struggle for human rights is universal. As we approach his death anniversary, we honor his life and legacy, not just for India, but for the whole world. A world where everyone, no matter their caste, their race, or their background, can live with respect, freedom, and equality. So it's a time to let us take inspiration from Dr. Ambedkar's visions to promote inclusive human rights everywhere and build a fair-minded, more just world. So you know that Dr. Ambedkar argued in his work that caste is not only a social tradition. It's not only social traditions, but a violation of human dignity and basic human rights. So he believed that democracy is incomplete without social equality, and that liberty, equality, and fraternity must guide all aspects of the society. So when we look at the world today, we see the millions of people still suffer due to discrimination, inequality, and oppressions. So according to the recent report from the international human rights bodies, many regions suffers from increasing conflicts, displacement, discrimination, and the denial of basic rights. You can take the example of Syria, Gaza, and Ukraine. Millions of refugees, such as you can say in the Gaza, Syria, and Ukraine, are forced to leave their homes, are losing safety, new education, and even basic human rights. So when you are talking about religious and ethnic persuasions, you can take the example of Myanmar. Here, the communities like the Rohingyas is face statelessness, violence, and denial of basic rights. So when you are talking about the gender-based discrimination, you can see the example. You can take the example of Afghanistan. Because women in countries such as Afghanistan and other parts of Africa are denied access to education, healthcare, or even participation in public life. So, like in South Asia and elsewhere, people, especially lower caste or marginalized communities, still face all social stigmas, discrimination, segregations, demanding treatment, and denial of equal dignity. So the very important thing to understand is how Dr. Ambedkar's vision speaks to these realities. These are the realities that exist in our surrounding. So what is the Dr. Ambedkar's vision about it? So Dr. Ambedkar thinking is not limited to caste discrimination. It's not about just caste discrimination in India. He emphasized on human dignity, equality, justice, and even constitutional and social democracy. And you can say it offers a universal framework that generalizes with all form of operations. He views caste as is a structural violations of human dignity and equality. You can say is a perspective that can be is the extended to any group oppressed on the basis of identity, ethnicity, religion, displacement, or even class. So his demand for social equality and human rights aligned with global human rights deals. You can say the deal is rights to dignity, rights to equality. It's about equality, is a non-discrimination, is social justice. So Baba Sahib's persistence that no society is truly democratic without social justice speaks to a situation. If you talk about the situations of refugees, you can take the example of displaced people, marginalized people, anyone denied dignity, right, or equal opportunity. So when you are talking about his philosophy, so his philosophy actually encourage solidarity across oppressed groups, and globalizing his thoughts means we must treat caste-based operations, ethnic religious persuasions, refugees crisis, and social exclusions under one moral and human rights umbrella. So I believe that Dr. Ambedkar has dedicated his life to fighting the suffering caused by social equality and discrimination. So he saw caste-based discrimination in India denied people education, jobs, their political rights, and even basic human dignity. So living in child community, marginalized and oppressed for generations to generations. Ambedkar believed that human suffering is deeply connected to social injustice, and that no society can be truly fair unless everyone has the equal opportunities and rights. So his vision was not about India. His vision is for all. He understood that human suffering caused by discrimination exists everywhere, where it's based on race, where is a gender, is a religion, or even in the social status, if you are talking about it. So by highlighting the struggles of oppressed communities, Ambedkar showed that fighting social justice is essential to protecting human rights and ensuring dignity for all. Through his life and work, continued to inspire people globally to address inequality and work towards the more just and inclusive world. So when you are talking about that, you are talking how international law address caste discrimination. So I believe that international law can play a big role in addressing caste discrimination by treating it as a serious human right issue. Is a very big issue. It's not a very small issue. It's a very big issue because a lot of humans are suffering due to this issue. So just like racism or gender inequality. So even though caste originated in South Asia and its effect, social exclusions, lack of opportunities, and denial of dignity, it can be seen that the International Convention on Civil and Political Rights, Universal Declaration of Human Rights, and Conventional on the Elimination of all form of racial discrimination can recognize caste-based discrimination as a violation of basic rights. So UN bodies, it's a can monitor and require countries to report on how they're addressing these issues, why NGOs like Ambedkar's groups and international activities can bring caste to global attentions, creating pressure for reforms, and it also urged to countries that the countries can adopt the domestic law which align with these you can say international standards to ban caste-based discrimination even in education, in job, and even in public life. So by linking caste to broader human rights concern, including genders, race, and social justice, international law helps protect vulnerable communities and advance Dr. Ambedkar's vision of equality and dignity for all.
Thank you so much, Dr. Aisha. Now I would request Dr. Seema Mathur to explain how can global movements help us in spreading Dr. B.R. Ambedkar's philosophy. जैसे हमने एक movement देखी Black Lives Matter और इस तरह की और भी बहुत सारी हैं, तो इसको आप किस तरह से देखते हैं?
Yes, so as Aisha described Dr. Ambedkar's legacy in every field and previous speakers also, so just we can feel the vision of Dr. B.R. Ambedkar, how much he was concerned to make this society better without any kind of discrimination, no basis on caste, class, gender. So as you asked about how the different organization can work for the betterment to bring social justice, so I just would like to add one organization which is working to monitor the caste-based discrimination. Have you all heard, I think, Human Rights Watch? No, Human Rights Watch continuously is having eye on the caste discrimination issues and cases from all over the world, I think. So this is very important, and as well the Amnesty International, the another organization which is working on international level to address such kind of issues, and different laws made for to address this caste or class or gender-based discrimination, as well as to secure the human rights. But I would like to say the role of state is very important to secure the human rights, because the broad vision was Dr. B.R. Ambedkar, democracy cannot survive without the social justice, equality and liberty. But I would say that to bring equality, before equality, equity is must. So if we see equality, so we can say it is the value brought by the Constitution, and now equity is the implementation part of the state. So if a state function to realize the values which are in the Constitution, so we can say really we are working for the human rights and to bring social justice in the society, because implementation of law is very compulsory. So the role of state is starts from bringing different programs schemes, making laws and policies, because in decision making process to bring these marginalized community is compulsory, because we don't have a voice at the level of policy making at the top level. We are not there, so we are not able to say our things, what we want actually, how we feel, and what kind of life we want to live. So after taking education, we come forward for the decision making, and state should ensure and should make efforts so that the goal of the constitution, which is reality, which is liberty, equality, justice, and fraternity. So different social जो identities हैं उनको खत्म करना बहुत जरूरी है, क्योंकि we are not having our voices as well as the recognition as women, as Dalit, as minorities, different identities, as refugees, as displaced person, migrant people. So ये जो different identities हैं उनको आवाज देना बहुत जरूरी है, क्योंकि जब तक हम आवाज नहीं उठा पाएंगे, हम अपनी बात नहीं रख पाएंगे, तब तक डेमोक्रेसी में हम अपना जो पार्ट है, एक्सेसिबिलिटी टू द रिसोर्सेज, एक्सेसिबिलिटी टू द सर्विसेज प्रोवाइडेड बाय द स्टेट, we can't save the humanity. So this is very compulsory that state come forward to ensure and implement the laws which are already available. क्योंकि कानून पे कानून अगर बनते चले जाएंगे और उनका प्रॉपर इम्प्लीमेंटेशन नहीं है तो बहुत लंबा समय लगेगा ह्यूमैनिटी को सरवाइव करने के लिए, ह्यूमन राइट्स को सिक्योर करने के लिए। क्योंकि आयशा जी बता रही थी कि इंटरनेशनल लेवल पर जो है वो इतने सारे यूनाइटेड नेशन ने कानून बनाए हैं, सीडो है, सीपीआर है, यूडीएचआर है। तो जो जेंडर जो वायलेशन, जो जेंडर बेस्ड वायलेशन है, उसको भी जीरो टॉलरेंस की तरफ जो है वो लेके जा रहा है जेंडर डिस्क्रिमिनेशन। ऐसे ही कास्ट भी जीरो टॉलरेंस की तरफ, कि हर ऑफिस को, हर इंस्टीट्यूशन को, हर गवर्नमेंट सेक्टर को, हर प्राइवेट सेक्टर को ये लाना पड़ेगा अपनी पॉलिसी में कि जीरो टॉलरेंस टुवर्ड्स जेंडर डिस्क्रिमिनेशन एज वेल एज कास्ट डिस्क्रिमिनेशन और एनी अदर काइंड ऑफ डिस्क्रिमिनेशन बेसिस और डिफरेंट identities we are not ready to wear. So the role of state is very important, and the role of different social organizations are very important, because I would like to give my some words to these institutions who are really working for upliftment of the these minorities, like चुप रहकर जो सहते रहे तो क्या जमाना बदला है, तुम चुप रहकर जो सहते रहे तो क्या जमाना बदला है, तुम बोलोगे मुंह खोलोगे तभी तो जमाना बदलेगा, तुम बोलोगे मुंह खोलोगे तभी तो जमाना बदलेगा। तो जो वॉइस है हमारी, वही वॉइस आगे तक नहीं जा रही है। और ये जो हम जो डिस्कस किए हैं आज, जो डिफरेंट आइडेंटिटीज हैं, डिफरेंट सोशल स्टेटस है, बिकॉज ऑफ जेंडर, कास्ट एंड अदर आइडेंटिटीज, वी आर नॉट एबल टू रेज आवर वॉइस। तो हमारी आवाज, ये ऑर्गेनाइजेशंस जो है वो बन रहे हैं और उनके थ्रू हम अपनी आवाज को जो है वो आगे तक पहुंचाने की कोशिश कर रहे हैं। सो होपफुली इन फ्यूचर we will have a better future without any discrimination or without violation of any kind of human rights. So in real, then we can say yes, we are in the effort to making realization of Dr. B.R. Ambedkar thoughts and vision, and we are moving towards just society which is based on social justice, and true democracy will be there. Thank you so much.
थैंक यू डॉक्टर सीमा, आपने बिल्कुल ठीक कहा कि आवाज उठाना बहुत जरूरी है, जो कि हमें करना चाहिए। और नेक्स्ट मैं रिक्वेस्ट करूंगी डॉक्टर राजेश कुमार से कि एज यू आर अ यूनिवर्सिटी प्रोफेसर, तो आप थोड़ा एकेडेमिया के हवाले से बताइए कि टीचर्स और स्टूडेंट्स का क्या रोल हो सकता है डॉक्टर बी आर अम्बेडकर की फिलॉसफी को स्प्रेड करने में.
I think it's a very important point, when we talk about the contribution and also the whole equation of teacher and students relationship, in disseminating the whole philosophy of Dr. Ambedkar. Let me give you an example of my own university where I'm teaching, which is known as People's University. Hindi mein bolte hain Jan Jan ka Vishwavidyalay, And ours is a university which is having enrollment of almost 35 lakh students, and it's a huge, it's all over India, not only in India, but abroad also, 33 countries. So when we talk about teachers' contribution, like ours, it's a university where we are having, various electronic platforms also, like television we are having, radio station we are having. So we impart education dissemination through these medium, platforms also. So when we deliver a lecture, students, they get connected to us, live. They learn through, they listen to our lectures also. We have live debates also, discussions also, So, when we talk about, the whole, equation of this teacher and student relationship, I think teachers are considered to be the pillars of, the pillars of, I would say, the society, because they are the builders of the nation, everybody knows that. And it is the students who really carry forward that legacy which is given to them by the teachers. Teachers, they are building the nation by imparting education to the students, And it is students' responsibility. If the teachers are giving right education to the students, then students have to make sure that they are carrying forward the legacy given by the teachers to them, When we talk about, Dr. Ambedkar's philosophy, let me give you also an example of, incident, where, like, of India itself, Now, today we are talking about Dr. Ambedkar, and so many people, they are trying to label Ambedkar to one particular community. This is also a product of, I would say, a mindset, We are not having just kind of a mindset where we need to preach about, not only, not about, a caste system, but humanity. If you remember Dr. Ambedkar's, a quotation, you can say, he is talking about humanity and dignity. He says, we are citizens of a world, world. Let us think not in terms of caste, he's saying, but country, but in terms of humanity. He is making that statement. In terms of humanity, we need not talk only about caste, or we need not talk about countries. We need to talk about humanity. So look at how he is, kind of giving us a different kind of a landscape, a framework, a lens through which we should look at the society. Not only from particular one landscape, you can say in terms of caste, race, or birth, or something. No. We talk about people, the society, through the lens of humanity. And he really, he batted for it. Let us talk about, people in terms of humanity, He's talking about the cultivation of mind should be the ultimate aim of human experience, human existence. If you remember that, in Annihilation of Caste, And I'm very much happy to talk about the fact that Dr. Ambedkar, he gave us a kind of a clarion call through his book, Annihilation of Caste. When he is giving a call for the annihilation of caste, that can be considered as a kind of a framework, which will be considered as a universal call, for the annihilation of all systems of inherited inequalities. All systems. So that could include racism, and Dr. Seema was talking about gender. Gender bhi ho sakta hai, caste bhi ho sakta hai, race bhi ho sakta hai, various all systems of inherited inequalities. So Dr. Ambedkar's legacy is that, he's giving, call for annihilation of caste, that annihilation of caste becomes a universal call for the annihilation of various kinds of discriminations. That's why it is very necessary, very important to globalize Dr. Ambedkar's ideas today. Because when he talks about, he's talking about the caste, logic of caste system. He is also talking about exclusion. He's also talking about inherited inequalities. These are the things, okay, which are existing, in many different forms all over the world, And he is giving us, I would say, a kind of a moral vocabulary to tackle all these various kinds of discriminations. And that moral vocabulary is given to us by Dr. Ambedkar in terms of, say, justice, dignity, and fraternity. He's saying these are the things through which you can really tackle all these various kind of discriminations which are existing. He is also trying to, bridge a gap between social reforms, I would say, and legal reforms. He's saying when you're talking about the rights of the people, that should not be happening only on paper, but also in the lived experiences of the people. When you're talking about, rights, showing that rights must be guaranteed. So those rights must not be guaranteed only on paper. Like, let me get it up, like untouchability. Untouchability, okay, Article 17, okay, talks about the removal of untouchability. That took place in 1950 only. That was gone constitutionally, it is gone. But if you look at it in the lived experiences of life, it's still existing. Still existing, I remember, just talking about, this, because it was part of the syllabus, untouchability in my classroom. So I asked my students, do you know about Dr. Ambedkar? To my surprise, many of the students, they had not even heard of Dr. Ambedkar. I was so much shocked. How come people don't know about Dr. Ambedkar? So that kind of a preaching is being given, to the, when you talk about the role of a teacher, that means a teacher is not playing his own important role. When you are talking about imparting education, when you're talking about justice, liberty, equality, if you're a political thinker, if you're a political, reformer, why can't you talk about Ambedkar? Even being a literature person, you can say, I teach Dr. Ambedkar also. It's part and parcel of our course also. When you talk about liberty, equality, and so justice, how can you talk about justice without talking about Dr. Ambedkar? So that's the kind of role we need to play. Being teacher, we need to play our own important role. And today's Dr. Ambedkar's ideas are gaining recognition in almost all the university, all over the world, okay? In all the diasporic movements also, international institutions also, okay? Institutions like your Ambedkar Society, you people are playing a very important role. You're doing a wonderful job here. So these Ambedkar's ideas are getting recognized by these kind of institutions, which are playing very, very important role to disseminate the Ambedkar's philosophy, universal philosophy. I wouldn't say that it is, categorized kind of philosophy, universal philosophy, and his whole call of, caste discrimination is being also, related to various kinds of discriminations, racial discrimination, indigenous marginalization. I had an opportunity to work amongst, tribal people. I had also an opportunity to work on, Australian Aborigines, the original inhabitants of Australia, and did a comparative study. Okay, I compared their lives with Dalits of India. And I came to know there are a lot of similarities. In terms of, sensitivities, in terms of various rights, also in terms of, how exploitation is taking place, not only physical, mental exploitation is taking place. Again, so many kinds of discrimination is taking at various levels, okay, at various dimensions, So therefore, when we talk about Dr. Ambedkar's philosophy, we need to really, globalize his ideas today. Remember, Dr. Ambedkar also warned that when you talk about democracy, political democracy, without social democracy is kind of a fragile thing, We need to have, social democracy also. When you talk about social democracy, we speak of human rights, okay, global justice, but we need to ensure that all the marginalized communities, be it Dalits, be it Adivasis, be it, women, be it, minorities, they are not just, kind of protected by law, but they're also empowered. That's very, very important. Empowered by society. Because if they are not empowered, they can never get justice in the society. So that is very, very important. I mean, simply giving them political democracy, you have reservation. That is not important. Social empowerment is also very, very important. So therefore, when we try to globalize Dr. Ambedkar's thoughts, it means that we are trying to globalize his principle of, equal dignity, his dream of social justice, his practice of fraternity amongst all the people. That means you are trying to recognize caste discrimination not only as a violation of human rights, wherever it occurs, but also you are trying to, build solidarities across nations all over the world to ensure that no person is, denied any kind of dignity on the basis of, any platform, on the basis of any kind of discrimination. So therefore, we need to globalize the struggle for justice. We need to globalize the demand for dignity. We need also to globalize, I would say, for a world where liberty, equality, and fraternity are not ideals, but they are realities also. That's very, very important. So these are the things which we need to take into consideration. As being teachers also, we need to teach or need to educate our students in a proper manner. We need to, in terms of epistemological understanding also, we need to give them proper education. Then only a proper, Professor Vinod was talking about, he was a nation builder. If you're talking about nation builder, nation can be built only when you are imparting a just education to each and everybody. And that can be done through a proper coordination between teacher and students. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, sir, for this valuable addition. Next, I would request Dr. Vinod Kumar. As Dr. Rajesh has briefly described the role of academia. So I would like to request you to talk on the role of civil society organizations and the state. क्या policies होनी चाहिए state level पर to eradicate the caste discrimination?
Thank you very much. As we all know that any structure of discrimination, whether this is a gender or caste or race, no structure of discrimination is a natural construct. Every structure of discrimination is a social construct, right? And when it comes to caste as a structure of discrimination, caste is also a collective construct of the society. And when an institution is a collective structure of the society, it cannot be addressed through the instrumentality of law, right? Simply by making laws and constitution. The evils which sustain in a society for thousands of years cannot be addressed through making laws, because law and the constitution, they have their own inherent limitations. As you rightly said, that what people can do. In my view, the most important role is the role of the society, role of the people. Now the question is whether people are now in 21st century ready to imbibe those universal values for which Ambedkar lived and died. Whether the society is now in 21st century is ready to accept two human beings as equal human beings. Whether society is ready to imbibe the value of equality or not. apparently, throughout the world, the structures of discrimination sustain precisely because societies are still not imbibing the value of equality in their day-to-day, individual and collective social behavior. And therefore, the inequalities remain. First important thing is that people have to accept this fundamental, reality that all human beings are equal, right? Unless and until we accept, people, there are, people who consider themselves superior either because they are more educated than others, or people, those who are rich, they consider others as inferior because their economic condition is poor. And this happens at multiple levels. Man considers superior than woman, right? So these hierarchies create discriminations. So in order to address these hierarchies, these structures of discrimination, the first thing the society has to do is, society has to imbibe the value of equality as a fundamental value. Now, when it comes to the role of the civil society organizations, my understanding is that the structures of discriminations cannot be addressed unless and until we keep the democratic struggles fragmented all over the world, right? Take the example, when, there is a discrimination against women, generally women are the ones who fight against discrimination. Man does not support. When Dalit suffers from discrimination, only Dalits fights. This struggle is individualized struggle of Dalits. So what we have done, we have individualized the democratic struggles throughout the world. If I'm suffering from a problem, this is my problem of an individual. This is not the collective concerns of the society. So unless and until we take any structure of discrimination as a collective concern of the society, we will not stand by the sufferers, right? Suppose if Dalits, I see some change in the United States, right? When the Black Lives Matter movement was going on in America after this man, George Floyd, was killed by police. In the United States, millions and millions of people were on the streets against that racial discrimination. And we see a phenomenon which is very different from our societies. In the United States, not only the blacks were on the streets, whites were also on the streets. Whites were also expressing their solidarity with blacks because they think that racial discrimination is a collective concern of the whole society, the whole humanity. And therefore, everyone is under a kind of moral duty to express their solidarity with the sufferers. But this is not happening in the global south particularly. My struggle, my problem is my concern. No one else will stand with me. When Dalits, when some caste discrimination, untouchability, or killing or raping a Dalit woman takes place in India, on every single day, at least 3 Dalit women are raped and killed. But we do not see any public outrage against it. Only the Dalits, express their concerns about it. Only Dalits have to demonstrate on the streets. Only Dalits have to make hue and cry. Other sections of the society will not support them. They will not express their, solidarity with Dalits. So, the fundamental problem lies with the individualization of people's struggle. People's struggle have been very much individualized. So unless and until all the human rights organizations, they work together, they come as under a common umbrella with the common thinking that any case of untouchability should be taken as the collective concern of the humanity, collective concern of the society. That will not happen. right? So first of all, we need to consolidate the human rights struggles throughout the world. All human rights organizations, they have to raise their concerns, whether this is gender discrimination or caste discrimination or racial discrimination. These issues are not considered as the collective concerns of the society. These are taken as the individual's concern. And therefore, so human rights organizations, if they, they come together on the issues of discrimination, I think this problem can be addressed. But law alone will not be able to do this. The only people's struggle can do this. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Vinod. आज का लास्ट क्वेश्चन डॉक्टर आयशा से पूछना चाहूंगी कि यंग जनरेशन को आप क्या मैसेज देना चाहेंगे एक इंक्लूसिव सोसाइटी बनाने के लिए? As we are running out of time, so थोड़ा इन शॉर्ट बताइएगा कि यूथ अपना क्या रोल प्ले करे?
Thank you, Memuna. Again, सबसे पहले तो I just want to say कि where there is human suffering, Dr. Ambedkar's voice always rises in our mind, and in our heart. So reminding us that injustice should never be accepted as normal. So his ideas hit us like a wake-up call, urging society to question discrimination and stand with it and work for equality. So whether there is a suffering is due to caste, due to poverty, due to race, or any form of the social exclusion, Dr. Saheb's message pushed up to respond with the empathy and action. So I believe that his thoughts are not just history, they are living guide actually, and telling us that dignity and human rights must be for everyone, everywhere. So I want to say that young activists should read Dr. Ambedkar's work first and his speeches to understand his vision of dignity, equality, and justice in his own word, कि उनका क्या है vision, क्या चीज है उनकी, और वो सबसे पहले जो young activists they should study, they should know about what Dr. Ambedkar said about the equality. Then Dr. Ambedkar, I believe that Dr. Ambedkar did not want theory to remain on paper. He wanted action actually. आप उनकी लाइफ में देखें तो वो एक्शन के साथ मतलब उनकी जिंदगी आपको वाइब्रेंट नजर आती है. So young people can raise issues like discriminations, inequality, gender injustice, and labor rights on campus, in communities, and online even. So social media campaigns and podcasts and blogs and public discussions can bring Dr. Ambedkar's ideas to global audience, making them accessible beyond academic spaces. Then I believe that activists can work with Dalits, minority, refugees, women, suppressed classes, minorities to understand their struggles and tell about the Dr. Ambedkar's visions and share about Dr. Ambedkar's Dr. Ambedkar's thoughts. So I also believe that Dr. Ambedkar's belief education is really important, is a element that you can bring a change in a society. So young mind can organize reading circles, study groups, and workshops to spread the power of knowledge. So activities, I believe that worldwide activists can connect caste issues with race, with gender, and class struggles. So finding good common grounds with basic rights movements and individuals' rights movements. Then I believe that films, poetries, theaters, music, and storytelling can keep his ideas alive emotionally, not just academically. This is my point. This is my belief. I believe that his philosophy teaches that human dignity is firm, so young activists and can use his ideals to judge policies, politics, and social behavior. So students, groups, universities, human rights organizations, diaspora communities can collaborate internationally. Exchange programs and research projects, you can say that can play a very important role on caste and social justice. So this is from my side. There are a lot of things to say about Dr. Ambedkar visions, but I think this time is very short, so I summarize my words. So these are my
continued.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. At the end, I would like to request each guest speaker for a 40 to 50 seconds message as concluding remarks. Starting from Dr. Seema Mathur. Dr. Seema, are you with us? Okay, so
Yes. Sorry.
no worries.
So, could you repeat your question? Just missed it.
I'm just asking for concluding remarks as your message.
फॉर कंक्लूडिंग रिमार्क्स मैं यही कहूंगी कि डॉक्टर बी.आर. अम्बेडकर की लीगेसी जो है ओवरऑल वर्ल्ड, तो हमें उनके विजन पे, उनके थॉट्स पे बहुत काम करने की जरूरत है, और जो एजुकेशन कैन बी द बेस्ट टूल फॉर इट. सो जो कोट है बाबा साहब का, अगेन आई विल से, एजुकेट, यूनाइट एंड एजुकेट.
Thank you so much. Dr. Rajesh Kumar.
I think yes, we need to educate people about Dr. Ambedkar's philosophy, his works, his thoughts. We need to have a lot of seminars, workshops, and most importantly, we need to motivate students and other people to read Dr. Ambedkar's works. Okay, his debates. Okay, so many debates are there. His works are there. It's not confined to only like Dalit community only, but to all the people, women, marginalized communities, people hailing from different religions or caste, race, whatever. They need to read about Dr. Ambedkar's philosophy, because he is today's modern intellectual who talks about the emancipation of humanity. So we need to promote his thoughts, his philosophy.
Thank you so much, sir. Dr. Vinod Kumar, sir, please.
Yes, thank you very much. I would only say that, the true tribute to Dr. Ambedkar would be if we really imbibe those values in our day-to-day social behavior, of which Dr. Ambedkar, fought throughout his life. Equality, if we say equality is the most important value which Dr. Ambedkar emphasized a lot. I think if we all imbibe those values into our behavior, wherever we go, whatever position we hold in our life, if we imbibe those values, freedom, justice, equality, right? So I think that will be the real tribute to the to Dr. Ambedkar, and I'll expect the coming generations to imbibe those values, and so that these values truly become universal, not only in letters but also in our behaviors. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir. Dr. Aisha Ishfaq, ma'am, what would you like to say at the end?
Thank you again, Maimuna. I would like to say thanks to the Ambedkar Society for South Asia here in Pakistan for putting together such an important and timely session. I also thanks my fellow panelists for their contribution. I really learned a lot of things for all. So it has been a wonderful discussion on Dr. Ambedkar's religion, as caste, and human rights, and how these ideas can inspire action globally. So I hope today's conversations, I think, motivate for all of us, especially I think ourselves and our young people to work together, to work toward justice, equality, and social justice and dignity for suffering communities. So I just want to say thank you once again to everyone involved, and let's keep Dr. Ambedkar's principles alive in our action. Thank you.
Thank you so much,
very
ma'am.
much.
And
Thank you
thanks
very
to
much.
speaker Dr. Seema Mathur, Dr. Rajesh Kumar, Dr. Vinod Kumar, and Dr. Ashish Kumar. The discussion was so productive, and we are very hopeful to have you all in another webinar with another topic.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Jai Bhim to all.
Thank you.
Jai Bhim.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.